It's a puppy.
Okay, so that was sort of your that's how you met Brian Conley.
Yeah.
Did you then get the gig sort of, obviously, Larry the Loafer? Was that your first gig with him, or were you involved in any other way with him before?
Yeah, I was involved in his touring side of stuff before I actually did any of the television stuff with him.
Okay.
And I was just lucky to be about. And when he was doing that Brian Conley show in Bromley, the first one we did, I wasn't actually Larry on that, but I asked if I could go along and watch how it's put together. I was quite a young lad, and I was interested in how it worked, you know. So I did. I went along and watched it all and how it was put together. And at the time, there was a gentleman called Colin Edmonds, who was Bob Monkhouse's writer.
Okay.
And I was quite interested. And I had a couple of ideas for gags, and I didn't know how to work it or how to put it together. And I spoke to Colin, and he just gave me some good advice and tips. And then from that, when Brian then moved to LWT, I've been touring with him for about a year then. And Nigel Lithgow, who was the producer of the show at the time, Nasty Nigel, had seen me do stuff on stage with Brian, and he knew that I did Larry on stage.
Right.
And him and Brian both sort of said, well, it's only fair if Ray's doing it on the tour, we should use him on the TV show. And I was just like made up. I'm like 21, 22, and here I am being Larry the Loafer. And then from that as well, Colin brought in the idea of Dangerous Brian having a stunt coordinator. So I became Nearly Dangerous Norris, which is probably the really early starts of Reynard.
Okay.
And that's where the pink lycra comes from, where I do Reynard. I don't know if you've seen it on stage.
I have, yeah.
With the cape, that originally was Nearly Dangerous Norris, and
okay.
and it started from there. And again, when I was working with Colin, I got into writing a few of the little bits of Larry. I did a lot of writing for Larry, and I did a lot of writing for Dangerous Brian. I just write some of the gags, and it was really clever. Colin taught me. It was like, well, you watch a video or a TV show or something, and then when they're about to do the punchline, you pause it, and then you think, well, I reckon the punchline is going to be this. Okay. And if it is that, great, you've got a good brain for comedy. And if it isn't, you've written another gag anyway, So it's quite a good way of doing it, And it's So I was really lucky again. Just That's right brilliant. Place, right time.
That's cool.
Brian, and Brian's dad as well was I love Brian's dad, and he really looked after me. And him and Brian, and again, I owe Brian so much because he helped me out so much, getting me learn the early stages of doing it. I was this cocky little 22-year-old, and you know what I mean, and Brian as well. And it's just been around that. It was just it's just mind blowing, really.
Yeah, I was going to say, obvious question. Obviously, what is it like being around someone like him? Is he like that all the time? Obviously, with that much energy. Is he a laugh all the time?
Yeah.
Or does he kind of tone it down?
No, I mean, it was always, and that's what it was. It's always been. It's quite lucky I was there at the start with Brian, at the start with Joe. So they've always been kind of mates rather than, anything else. I never looked at them in that respect.
Right.
I mean, they're both brilliant at what they do. And I mean, Brian's an amazing all-round performer, as is Joe,
Yeah.
And I was just really lucky to be there and be around these guys and, to get so much knowledge from them as well. It's just amazing.
Yeah. As a kid, I know my sister, who I don't think she watches a lot of these, but I have a feeling she will watch this one because we grew up together and we absolutely loved the Brian Conley show. And, we used to watch it when it was on, and he had, it was, I think, one of the only live videos, DVDs that he had out was the Live and Dangerous show, I think it was called.
Yeah.
And we would watch that on repeat, to death because we loved it so much. And, I cannot remember what was Brian's character name when he did Larry the Loafer.
Nick Frisby.
That's it, Nick Frisby. Whenever that came on, I mean, it was one of the points at which we just came together and we would just laugh because the way Brian treated Larry was disgusting, really, by today's standards. But just on that show, that Live and Dangerous show, you actually, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, you get a little bit of TV time. Because he kind of breaks down the fourth wall, doesn't he? And he actually just opens the door.
Give us it. Just do the ad-libs I've written for you. Understood? This is a nice little whirler for you. Just do what Understood? I didn't hear you. Thank you.
That whole bit that led up to that, I'm glad I'm speaking to you because I've always wondered this, and does this kind of thing happen? Was that planned? That little
bit where he opens.
where you nick the bat off him.
Yeah, oh, I've always nicked the bat off him, and then
Cocky son. Shut it!
what I used to do is stick it down the hole and hit me with it.
Yeah.
And every now and again, he'd pull me out from under the desk. But to make it work, because that's how we did it on the tour, but to make it work for the telly, he had this door put on the front of it. So all that bit was not planned, but I knew it was going to expose me a bit. But the bit that wasn't planned, there's a bit where Larry come. I have to do it like this, so like I've got him. Yeah. Larry would look down. That bit wasn't planned. That just came to me at the last minute, and that's always been my. It's not a damn, but that's how my head works sometimes. Is that I'm a bit like you said. I never plan it, and especially with Joe and with Brian, I always do it. My thing's always be to try and make them guys laugh.
Awesome.
You know what I mean?
And you could almost tell that Brian wasn't expecting that as well, because his reaction is just
right. Got a few more riddles.
Just creases
and
up.
It's just like little bits like I love bits like that, and sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. But that's the beauty of it. And doing the same with doing stuff with Joe. That's what I love, the way we used to bounce off each other and the way we do stuff together. It's just
Yeah.
I have got him between my legs.